NRATV with Grant Stinchfield.
So the disarmament primary will include candidates who want to divide this country around the issues of guns and race. Bernie Sanders fired that first shot yesterday with his twisted declaration about our Second Amendment president.
Today we talk about justice, and today we talk about racism. And I must tell you, it gives me no pleasure to tell you that we now have a president of the United States who is a racist. And we have a president intentionally, purposely, is trying to divide us up by the color of our skin, by our gender, by the country we came from, by our religion.
Did you just watch that video? Because now I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that we have a United States Senator from Vermont who is pandering to the mainstream media, desperate for attention. So what does he do? He calls the president a racist. He calls all of us racists for voting for him. I still ask all of those leftists out there to give me any piece of evidence you can find that the president is a racist. They can't come up with it. They can only throw names. There's nothing immoral about a wall. There's nothing immoral about wanting to secure our nation. There's nothing racist about ensuring that we know who is coming and going. In fact, securing our border has no effect on those wanting to come here legally and those who want to do it the right way. Bernie Sanders, you are a phony, fake fraud who is desperate for attention, and now you get it from the mainstream media. Sadly, I give you a little bit of it, but I only do it to call you out and expose you for the fraud that you are. Joining me now is the managing editor for the Media Research Center, Brittany Hughes. Brittany, welcome to the program.
Hey, Grant, how you doing? Crazy week so far.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the weekend was wild. Then we move into this. No surprise that Bernie Sanders is leveling the racist charge. They've been doing this now for years.
This is a broken record. Look, nothing says MLK Day like an old white guy talking about racism while pushing an agenda that wants to keep everybody in poverty, right? Look, this is the same old narrative over and over and over again. We've heard it for the last over 2 years now. It's so stale, it's not even funny. And again, I'm with you. I would challenge anyone who calls Donald Trump and his supporters racists to give a single example of a policy proposal that he has put forward that is in fact racist. They usually come up with two things. The first is the travel ban, the so-called Muslim travel ban that wasn't a Muslim travel ban at all. It was based on Obama's State Department recommendations, and it was meant to keep the country safe from people who hate us and countries that want to do us harm. The second thing that they point to is this supposed racist wall, which again is not racist. It keeps out anybody who's not supposed to be here in this country, who is trying to get here illegally. I don't care if they are black, white, or pink with purple polka dots. If you are not supposed to be here legally, that is what the wall is designed to do. Meanwhile, Hispanic approval of Trump has actually reached historic highs, and unemployment rates for Black Americans and Hispanic Americans has reached historic lows. So, I mean, you just continue to hear this pandering line with absolutely no evidence given, which I think is disgraceful, shameful, and potentially slanderous. But again, they can't actually come up with anything. This is a riff that they're on because it's low-hanging fruit and it's pandering to the lowest common denominator. I challenge anyone to give a solid example of how Donald Trump and any policy that he's put forward is in fact racist.
All right, so just to frustrate you more than you already are, why don't we play a soundbite from National Public Radio, NPR, which is an organization that really shouldn't even exist today. We don't need government-funded media outlets anymore. There's no need for it. But anyway, that's a different topic. NPR's Joshua Johnson. Here he is.
Is no longer purely pragmatic or practical politics. This is a moral issue. I mean, I think the shutdown is kind of a symptom of something larger. The wall is a campaign promise the president made to play on something very deeply held that his political base feels. This is about xenophobia. For many Americans, this is about race. This is about rhetoric that has reached a point where it has ground the government to a halt.
All right, so he says that, right, Brittany? I want to play another soundbite that proves he's wrong. It's outrageous, his comments. It should be offensive to anybody that wants to secure our border, and certainly angel families. Well, this morning, we had Miss Durden on. She lost her son, who's 37, would be 37 today. Okay? This is her responding to basically him and all his left-wing comments and those out there issuing the same kind of calls on this.
This will protect everybody. We have to have that wall, fence, whatever they want to call it, but we need that protection, that extra layer of protection. And Pelosi, like you said, I called her out. $1 for my son. I have his ashes in here. This is his urn. That's all I have. My only child. And she didn't even have the guts to face us.
So Pelosi doesn't have the guts to face her. I would wonder if NPR's Johnson has the guts to face that woman. And by the way, Brittany, that woman is also a legal immigrant. She brought her son here legally when he was 10 years old.
Well, it's so heartbreaking. It's so incredibly sad. My heart goes out to her and families like her, you know, like the police officer who was killed just one day after Christmas, who was also a legal immigrant, who was killed by somebody who was here illegally. This isn't about xenophobia. If this were about xenophobia, then there would be widespread calls to ban all immigration. Nobody's talking about legal immigration. We have the most generous immigration system in the entire world. We allow people from all over the world to come here, and we recognize that, and we love that. That's part of what makes this country great. No one is arguing that. This is about people coming into the country illegally, violating our laws. This is about stopping dangerous practices like drug smuggling and human trafficking that endangers women and children. This has nothing to do with the color of someone's skin. As a matter of fact, you know, if you honestly think that, consider how many Hispanics and how many legal immigrants actually want stronger immigration enforcement, stronger border security, because oftentimes legal immigrants and other immigrants are the first victims of illegal alien crime because it occurs in their communities. So this has nothing, that's low-hanging fruit that is just spat out there, and nobody ever asks them to qualify it with any facts.
Yeah. Exactly. And certainly the mainstream media is not going to do that, which is why I know that you guys are there over at the Media Research Center. Brittany Hughes, as always, thank you.
Thanks.
All right. That's going to do it for this edition of Stitchfield. We're back here at the top of the next hour. Stick around. And as I remind you, a big case will now be heard in the Supreme Court, a Second Amendment case. We will have a man who argued in front of the Supreme Court in favor of gun rights here with us at noon to break it all down for us. I'm Grant Stinchfield. Thanks for watching.
NRATV with Grant Stinchfield.